Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of RE110, where I take old stories I've narrated and update them to modern audio standards. This particular one is called Poker Face, written by LgFatherAnthrocite. So, there are 52 cards, split into 4 suits. Each suit contains a card that is numbered 2 through 10 and has 3 face cards, Jack, Queen, and King. Each suit has a card called an ace, which can be played low or high, depending on the hand in the game. Got it? Dreskel looked into the face of his human compatriot.
So far, I understand. Please continue.
Okay, so the most basic game you can play is blackjack. In that game, you are dealt 2 cards, 1 up, 1 down. Up means everyone can see it. Down means only you can look at it. Incidentally, no peek means no one can look at the card. So once you have your 2 cards and the other player has theirs, you look to see how close you are to the total score of 21. Face cards are worth 10 points, number cards are worth their number, and aces are either worth 1 or 11, depending on your hand. If you get a face card and an ace on the deal, it's called blackjack, and you win automatically. If you don't get blackjack, you want to get as close to 21 as you can without going over. Going over is bust, and you lose automatically. If your number is closer to 21 than your opponent, you win. If their number is closer to 21, they win. Dreskel was flipping over random cards from the deck and looking at the pip marks on the cards and the faces drawn on them.
This seems a most robust form of entertainment. The mathematical formulas involved must be exciting. I think this poker cards would go over quite well with my colleagues back on Gildar. It's a very expensive game set.
No, you can get a deck of cards for just a couple bucks here. Here, keep this set. I've got 4 or 5. Chris put a fresh deck, still in its slipcover, on the table and slid it across the green felt to his blobby alien friend. You can get nicer decks that cost more, but these are the ones most people use. I know they make plastic ones that are waterproof, and some have fancy custom art. I got a buddy from college who collects them. He likes the artwork on them. He told me that playing cards dates back to ancient China, and were originally painted on some sort of leaf from the Emperor's garden. Playing cards have existed on Earth for hundreds of years, maybe 1,000 at this point, but I'm not sure.
Most intriguing. As a mathematician, I am interested in the number of suits and cards. Why were these numbers selected?
Dreskel was using several pseudopods to hold several cards up at once. Well, I'm going to be honest with you, Dres. I have a few thoughts on the subject, as a mathematician myself. I don't know for sure, mind you, but I always thought it had something to do with the rotation of the Earth around the Sun, Chris said, as he gathered the cards from the open deck. He began to shuffle and bridge the cards, and absentmindedly dealt out 2 hands of 5 cards as he spoke. Earth has 4 seasons, hence the 4 suits. We have 13 lunar cycles per year, so 13 cards per suit. And we have 52 weeks in a year, so a total of 52 cards. My old college buddy told me playing cards were used for fortune-telling way back in history, and astrology, which was the study of stars as cosmic influences, was popular throughout mankind's early history. It's actually the forerunner to astronomy, which, as you know, is a real science, at least here on Earth. After Chris had dealt out the cards, he set the deck aside and picked up his hand and arranged the cards in ascending order, left to right. As he finished, he laid the cards face up on the table and spread them in a neat line. So, we have about an hour to get you familiar with the rules of poker before the rest of the guys get you. So, let me explain the rules and we can play a bunch of practice hands.
Dreskel had enjoyed the early rounds of the game, as Chris's friends were all very friendly and jovial. They had brought an earth beverage called beer, which Dreskel enjoyed. The ethanol was similar to the several natural substances on his planet. It did not affect him as the human counterparts. He also enjoyed the heavy botanical taste of hops used to flavor the beverage. After several hours of playing the game, Dreskel had gotten a firm grip on the mechanics of play. They were playing a game called 5-card draw, in what sets of cards had fixed point values, and cards could be traded out to try and make the best hand possible. He was able to use his skills as a mathematician to roughly figure out the odds of the particular hands, and bet accordingly. Jonesy, one of Chris's friends, had gone through all of his chips and had to rebuy to get more chips to bet with. Dreskel was, much to his own concern, starting to lose chips fairly quickly, and would soon have to rebuy himself. So, said Driscoll, as Michael, another of Chris's friends, began to deal the next hand. I know Chris is a mathematician. What do you all guys do for a living? I am a sales rep from a construction firm, said Michael. I own a catering business, said Jonesy. I work for a college's fine arts department, said Bill. Yeah, I see. Have you all been playing poker long? Driscoll asked as he gathered his hand and sorted his cards in the fashion Chris had taught him. I only got into it when I was in college as a student, said Bill.
It's high school for me. One of my buddies ran a game in his garage every other weekend, said Michael.
I only started playing a couple years ago. I couldn't afford it till then, said Jonesy. Most interesting. May I have 2, please? Driscoll flipped 2 cards onto the discard pile. The following Monday, Chris was walking next to Driscoll on the way to the lunch and the faculty lounge. Chris, may I ask a question regarding last week's poker game?
Sure thing, Dres. What's up?
How was it that I lost to you and Michael during the poker game? I made conservative bets, and only when I was relatively sure that I was best odds to win. Yet I lost. Did I misunderstand a rule or something of that nature?
Chris laughed a little as he heard his friend explain the reasoning. No, Dres, you played perfectly.
They got in line at the cafeteria. Chris handed Driscoll a tray and placed his own on the edge of the counter.
Did you see how Jonesy kept throwing an arm over the back of his chair and slouching a little? He was trying to look relaxed when he was really nervous. He had a good hand and was trying to keep from looking too excited, so everyone else would bet. It's called a bluff.
A bluff. Driscoll placed a cube of gelatin on his tray.
It's trying to raise the amount of money in the pot without letting on that you think that you have an advantage. There are other kinds as well, like trying to buy the pot, which is where you put in a big bet and try to force others to fold.
I think I had once understood the game of poker, said Driscoll.
How's that, bud? Asked Chris, getting a turkey sandwich.
It's about psychology, not maths, said Driscoll, grabbing a bottle of water for himself and Chris. The cards are cool though, so I'll keep those.
End of story.
I'd quickly like to thank the T5 peeps: Cold War Boomerwaffen, Severin Cerberus, Bushmaster 177, Henry the Red, Caspar Arnholtz, Cold War Boomerwaffen, Elijah Silvercross, Dragzoon WRE, and Severin Cerberus. Thank you very much.